So this week I'm going to be teaching you guys some of the most important things to do in photo editing, which are just really useful, and they end up being used in videos and all sorts. And it's basically separating the background from a photo. So in this case, I could then change the levels so that we have the foreground is brighter than the background, like that, and it doesn't affect the background. So that's just one of the kind of, it may not seem that useful, but actually this is something that I find myself doing all the time, and it's the basics of a lot of things that you have to do in photo and video editing. So I'm going to get rid of these, and we'll come back to those later. So the first thing you do when you got your image is you're going to duplicate the layer, and then you want to make the bottom one invisible for now because I'm not too worried about it. And then the first thing you do is you go to erase the background, and you go like this, and then you zoom in, and you're thinking, right, let's get a really small brush, but actually that's not the most efficient way of doing it. That would work, going really carefully around the edges, trying to make sure that we don't lose any detail, but actually that's just quite a slow way of doing it. And by the way, if sometimes it ends up looking like this when you rub out stuff, just getting white. So the most important thing to do is add an alpha channel, and then when you erase stuff, it actually erases it. So we got this just kind of strange looking image at the moment, but that's fine. So I'm going to teach you the correct way of masking in GIMP, and this is to basically grab a lasso tool like this, and you just go around selecting the bits that you want to be part of the selection, the bits in the foreground, and it's pretty much the more time you spend doing this, the better it'll look. So the more you zoom in, if you do it from out here, it's going to be pretty rough, but you can see if you really zoom in lots, then you can actually get the fine details. And with things like hair like this, I'd recommend that you just get extra in rather than too little, because then you can just go and add that back in later. But you can see it's basically all about how much time you want to spend doing it. So I'm not going to show you exactly how to do it all, but you can imagine that's what you do. And then once you've got that, you then go over to select, which you can't actually see, but that's alright, and you hit select, invert, and then so now instead of selecting what's inside, we're selecting what's outside, and then you can see that we are just rubbing out stuff that's not in the selection. And then you just get a really large brush, and you just go crazy with it. So obviously I haven't done a very good job with the mask here, but you get the idea. So if I go to a version where I did do a good job with the mask, same idea, so you spent loads of time masking it out, and this is what you've got. So that's a lot better. And what I'm just going to do, as you can see when I was talking about the hair, you can actually just go now with a soft small brush, and you can just kind of do this. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm just erasing back into the hair so that it looks a bit more realistic. And again, if you want to spend loads of time on it, I'm sure you get it looking great, but it's up to you really. So that's probably going to be fine. So this is where you can then bring in the original image, and it will look exactly the same, but you can then do a effect on the front layer, whether you want it to be something really outrageous, like this, or you can do something that's quite subtle. So here's the outrageous one. Basically you can go crazy. It just allows you to separate these effects. Now why isn't my crazy effect working? Oh well. See, as I showed before, you can change the parameters and it will affect just the one layer. If you wanted it to be a bit brighter, a bit more contrasty maybe, if that was something you wanted to do, it basically allows you to affect only a small part of the image. Now again, seems pretty basic here, why do you really want to do that? But this is something, working with these layers, there's my crazy effect. You can see there that that also may be something you want to do. So this is something, basically, it's quite simple, but I do find myself doing it all the time. So just knowing that you can duplicate a layer, select the bit you want, and then rub out everything else and work from there means that you can get some really cool effects. Most of them far more subtle than what I'm doing here. And then the only other thing is, say you did want to use this, you would then go to your colors and curves, and this is where you can just adjust to make sure that the colors match. So I can see we're a bit too probably need to be a bit more contrasty to fit with this scene. Is it a bit of a darker scene? Probably not. And then also you can do stuff like warm it up a bit so that it matches to the scene a bit better. You can see there, it's blended a bit better. Now obviously, if you're going to try and match the scene to the background, you want to think about it a lot more, make sure the camera's settings are the same, make sure the lighting is the same. But you know, you can see right there, pretty quickly you can get something to roughly look like it's in the right place. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. I just wanted to show, because this is something that, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people don't know how to do it, and it's this simple, working with layers to separate objects, and then you can mess with them however you want in GIMP or Photoshop, is something that's really a really useful effect. So there you go, that's it this week. Normal videos again from next week.